My name is Mofokeng Lehlohonolo. I'm going to present on behalf of Mr. Manyoni, since that Mr. Manyoni is not actually well. Grade 8 teachers and learners, welcome to the presentation of mathematics, whereby I'm going to present a division of fraction, of which that is the new part from grade 8. Division of fraction is done in grade 8. So that is the new thing. Now let me just share, or let me just be on presentation mode. Right, thank you very much. I'm going to present, as I've indicated, the common fractions. And under common fractions, we are going to look into the skill of dividing the fractions. Right, so let me go on. Divide whole numbers and common fractions by common fractions. Divide whole numbers and common fractions by common fractions. Now let's see. We are going to start by dividing a whole number by a fraction. But for us to understand what is happening when you divide the fractions, we have to look into the issue of pictorial understanding. Right. Here we are having two, as you can see that we are having two whole parts. We are having two whole parts, and we are going to divide these two whole parts by 2/3. We are going to divide the two whole parts by 2/3. So before we can divide this two whole by 2/3, we must firstly divide this two in thirds. In other words, in equal thirds. So let's just do it. Firstly, we divide this two in thirds. This is the first third. This is a first thirds. This is the second thirds. This is the second thirds. And this is the third thirds. So in this one, we are having how many thirds? We are having 3 thirds. And then let's go to the next one. Again, we divide by thirds. That is 2. And then we are having the third thirds. So in other words, we are having how many thirds? This is 6 thirds. So in other words, at this stage, we have actually divided this two in thirds, not in 2/3, in thirds. So let's continue. We have to shade now in 2/3. We are just going to show this is 2/3, this is 2/3, this is 2/3. So we are going to shade in different colors so that it will be easy for us to can count the thirds, the 2/3 that we are having. Right, so as we can look there, we are having a third plus a third will give us 2/3, which will be the first thirds. Which will be the first 2/3. And then the second color represent the second thirds. The second 2/3. It represents the second 2/3. So at this point in time, we are having 2 2/3. 2 2/3. As we can count there, yellow represent 2/3, red represent 2/3. So all in all, now we are having 2 2/3. And then the last one, we have used the green color to show that, to show the third 2/3. So we are having The first one as orange, the second one as red, and the third one as green. Now we can count how many 2/3 do we have. If we count, you'll see that we are having orange as 1 2/3. We're having red as 1 2/3. We're having green as 1 2/3. So all in all, we are having 3 2/3. So all in all, we are having 3 2/3. Right. Now we can go to the next part whereby we are going to apply the method now. And whatever that we are going to apply here as a method, it must give us 3. And if it gives us 3, it confirms that whatever that we have done, it is correct. Whatever that we would have done, it will be correct. So let's start. Here is the solution to calculate 2 when it is divided by 2/3. Right. We are just going to manipulate. And like I've indicated, it is something new. If it can give us the results, is then that we can talk about it. So here we are dividing, and then one decide to change the division operation to multiplication. But if we are doing that, it will no more be the same as dividing by 2/3 if we have changed the multiplication. So as a result, we flip the second fraction, or the fraction that we are dividing with. In other words, we just multiply by the inverse of 2/3. And the inverse of 2/3 will give us 3/2. It will give us 3/2. Right. And then let's go on. Let's see what will be the result. The results will be we have to make that whole part to be a fraction. So if we make it to be a fraction, it will be 2/1. And 2/1 is multiplied by 3/2. And 2/1 multiplied by 3/2, it will give us 2 times 3, which is 6. It will give us 1 times 2, it will be 2. And the result is 3. And remember, when we were actually applying the pictorial approach, we got the answer as 3. We got 3 2/3. And even here, we also got 3 2/3. So in other words, in essence, we are saying after dividing 2 by 2/3, we get how many 2/3 in 2? We get 3 2/3 in 2. And we have shown that we can multiply by the inverse in order to divide the fractions. So this is what we are actually going to do when it comes to the division of fractions. Every time when you divide you divide the fractions, you must multiply by the inverse of the second fraction. And then let's go on. We are also going to divide a fraction by a fraction now. Now, we have seen that 2 can be written as a fraction, which is 2/1. So in essence, in the previous example, we have actually divided a fraction by a fraction. It's just that fraction, the first fraction, it was a whole number. But in essence, you can actually express it as fraction of 2/1. So we are going to do the same as we have done in dividing 2 by 2/3. So we are now dividing the fraction 5/3 by 2/3. So let's see. Remember, the first thing that we need to do is to multiply by the inverse of second fraction. So if we multiply by inverse of second fraction, the second fraction is 2/3. So we multiply by the inverse of 2/3, which is 3/2. And then when we multiply, we get the answer as 5 times 3 is 15. 3 times 2 is 6. And then the answer that we got is 5 out of 2. So that simply means if we actually multiply the fraction, we can even simplify. We can simplify by dividing 3 into 3. If we divide 3 by 3, we will get 1. So it will be 5 times 1, it will be 5. It will be 1 times 2, it will be 2. You can simplify, or you can take this route of multiplying numerator by numerator, denominator by denominator. And then the third skill under this is dividing a mixed number by a fraction, right? And then here it is a mixed number is divided by a fraction. So for us to divide, we must ensure that we change the mixed number to improper fraction first. So let's just change the mixed number into proper fraction, into improper fraction, and then we apply the same method that we did when we were actually dividing in those two examples from the previous slides. My dear learners and dear colleagues, this marks the end of our presentation for mathematics, and you will be finished with the quiz. And then Mr. Manyoni, I think, sent the link into our group, and then you will interact with the quiz. It is not easy now to understand what is happening with the division because it is a new concept, but whatever that I said, just go and check it. Every time when you divide the fractions, you must multiply by the inverse of the second fraction. Thank you very much. This marks the end of our presentation. Goodbye. Thank you.